Let's learn a little Tanya. I don't like to skip Tanya. It's the only thing I don't like to skip is Tanya. Now we're in Pedic Dal. We're very near the end actually. We are 7 lines under the Pedic, which means we're on page Tes Lamed Aleph, which means page 17. Tes Lamed Aleph. Va'af. How many lines from the top is it? It's 11 lines from the top of the page. Page Tes. 11 lines from the top of the page Tes, okay? Now on the base side, we are learning about Tate and Mitzvahs. That's what we're learning about. As I said to you so many times that in Pedic Dalet we don't separate Tate from Mitzvahs. That we're going to do a Mitzvah from the next Pedic, in Pedic Hey. And the point of this Pedic is, as I've told you so many times, that a Jew needs Judaism, a Yid needs Yiddishkeit. Now why does a Jew need Judaism if he's a chelik elakam yimal, mamish? If you're a piece of Hashem from above mamish, why do you need Tate and Mitzvahs? You're already one with Elokus. And again, in Pedic Dalet, the answer to the question is, because it's true that the Neshama is a piece of Hashem, but it's concealed, it's covered over, it's hidden. And a Yid needs Tate and Mitzvahs to reveal the godliness of the neshama. In other words, how does a Yid discover what he is or what she is, what kind of neshama they have when you live as a Jew? So the living as a Jew helps uncover the elokus which is inside, the Teiro Mitzvah which is inside. This is basically what Pedic Dalet is about. We had a number of classes about this. And of course, the Nekutas Hadover is that mitzvahs are not symbols, Rahman al-Islam. Mitzvahs are not tools for meditation. Like we learned in last week's class, or the week before's class, that in a mitzvah there's atmos amhus. In a mitzvah there is Hashem Himself. Leis machshava tfisa beiklal ki im kasha tfiso mislabeshes b'teiru mitzvah. This was last Sunday's class. A mitzvah is a piece of the Eibishter. A mitzvah is a shtickle Eibishter. A mitzvah is a piece of Hashem. A piece of Hashem. So when you do any mitzvah, or you learn any piece of Torah, you're mamish holding a lakus. And we had so many nice discussions about this, including the one about Misham Nosav Yadu Seisa Madrega Lomba Nimsha Teda Lemayim. Ma Mayim Yed Mokavei 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 Teda. That the Teda comes from a high place to a low place. And what is the mushal of water? That it doesn't change. Exactly how it is there, it comes here. But there's another path in the mushal of water, which is even deeper. That not only does the Teda come from heaven to earth, it doesn't change, and when Teda comes from heaven to earth, it's not in earth at all. It's not in heaven anymore. Like water goes from top to bottom. It's an infant shefa. It's no longer in the source. When the Eibishter gave us the Teda is no longer Bashamayim. Teda is only here and not there, which is why you have in Chassidus that the Eibishter and Malachim and the whole Tzva Hashamayim come to listen to a psak din of a bezdin shalmata, because once the Eibishter gave us the Teda is only here. It's not Lamayla at all. And in Teda and Mitzvahs you have the Eibishter Himself. So anytime a Yid learns any words of the Teda, even though the Teda deals with physical things, as we learn it down here, and the Yid does any mitzvah, and mitzvahs are physical things, in each mitzvah and in each word of Teda of Atzmas Amhus. Let me share a ma'aseh with you. This is a story I've told you many, many times. I've told you the story many times. But it's a little bit of an illustration, an taka a little bit. Reb Chaim Gutnik Olav Shalom, I don't know if you remember him talking. He was a brilliant public speaker. Chaim Gutnik can get 770 quiet. And that's a trick. Chaim Gutnik could speak and everybody in 770 stopped to listen. I mean, 770 to the minig, that when the guy talks, you have to talk with him. Anish, it's a Rachmanos of Zayin Neshama, was Zayin mit Bittel Hayesh. But Reb Chaim was a brilliant orator. I mean, I remember him talking. He really was incredible. Really, really very good. And in as much as I'm a public speaker, the first rule about Rabbi Chaim Duk's speech, he spoke very slowly, which means I'll never be Chaim Gutnik. That's never. He spoke so slowly. He would mamish and chant you. He was really good. It's a different kind of slow. Rabbi Mentlik spoke slow. Tanya Pnimi. Rabbi Gutnik spoke slow because he wanted to get your attention. So him and Rabbi Groner made a world tour, but he get to Mashiach. And they also spoke in 770. And the Rebbe had Yemot said that the Derech HaYishara, thank you. That the Ezi Derech HaYishara, the fellows, how do you bring Mashiach in a direct way, in a straight way, in a proper way? Is through Teda. Not in Mashiach or Gula, through Teda. to live with the Yanim. That's what the Rebbe said. So Rabbi Gutnick spoke about this. I don't know if you remember that time. I mean, Bechlal, we were crazy, yeah? But then we were crazy. It was a crazy time. I don't necessarily mean in a bad way. It was crazy. So he spoke in 770, and he said, the Devan Tanakh, the story with the Sar Tzava Aram, the general, the chief of staff, the head of the army of Aram, his name was Naaman, and he was a Mitzvah, he was a leper. And he was incurable. So he came to the Melech Yisrael, to the king of Yisrael at the time. It was after Achav. It was by Elisha already. So I don't know what was one of Achav's children, Yehoram, I think. And they were trying to make some kind of a peace treaty. Aram was always causing us trouble, but trying to make some kind of a peace treaty. And amongst the things that came up in the discussions, whether the Sar Tzava Aram is a Mitzvah. He says, we have us Isha Lakim. We have a Navi. Elisha was a very unusual Navi. You know why? It's a really important piece of history that doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Unusual Navi. Because he lived in Shaimanai. They were Evdi Avodah Zarah and they were Mukasharim. It's funny, it's weird. The Beis Yehu, which was the last real family of Malchi Yisrael, were the Shoyim of all the ones that came before. But they had one weakness, one strength. They really, really respected the Navi. Elisha was a Navi for a long time. Eliyahu was afraid to show his face in Shemin. They would have killed him. Elisha had an apartment in Shemin, in Isha Shanamis. But we get him covered. Elisha was respected by the Samaritan Jews, by the Yidden of Yisrael, who were Evdei Avodah Zarah. But he was Avodah Zarah Hin, Avodah Zarah Her, but Rebbe is Rebbe. That's really how it was. You read the Tanakh, this was an unusual thing. In the earlier incarnations, earlier Malchus of Yisrael, if they got the hands of Navi, they would kill him. Eliyahu had to run for his life. Elisha was revered. They were Evdei Avodah Zarah, they remained Avodah Zarah. So he says, we have Isha Lakim by us. So the king of Aram informed his general that maybe he should go see the Isha Lakim. It's a whole long story that he sent him a messenger that he should come, and Elisha refused to go. So he came himself. And he rolls into Elisha's place where he was, and Elisha doesn't come out to greet him. Elisha does not see him. He sends him a messenger. Go wash in the Jordan. The Jordan was an excuse-me river. It's still an excuse-me river. And it wasn't necessarily clean, and so on and so forth. And he was so insulted. He was insulted. First of all, he invited Elisha to come to him. Elisha doesn't want to come. He can't see Elisha. Elisha won't even see him. He said, he was very, very upset. So someone says, I want to ask you a question. What did he tell you to do? If he would tell you to climb to the moon, to be cured for what's out, you'd figure out a way to climb to the moon. He gave you a task. It's a simple task. If it was a complex task, you'd probably take it more seriously. Because it's easy, because it's simple, you decided that this is an imposter. It's a Bubameister. Try! Give him a proof. So he went to the yard, did it, Yotayim, then he was cured. And of course the rest of the story was that he came back and did the Ma'aseh Gechasi, which is not for now. But the point is, Rabbi Gutnick told this story. And he says, the Rebbe says we're going to bring Mashiach by learning Mashiach Ugula Mashiach. If the Rebbe would tell us to do the most impossible task, we would do it, yeah? The Rebbe gave us something which is so simple. It's so simple that we can't believe that this is really the way to bring Mashiach. So he says, not because it's easy doesn't mean it's not going to work. That was his word. And it's really it's a richtig word. And the same is for Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is easy. Yiddishkeit is easy. Why? Because really all that matters is that you're Tayim, a mitzvah, a ma'aseh, a fail. That you do a practical mitzvah. It's the whole thing. You got to do mitzvahs. And by the way, I've been obsessing over this the last couple of weeks, and I will probably be obsessing for a couple more weeks. There's a book that everybody has to buy, and it's in English. It's not in Hebrew, it's in English. It's called Shaddad. It's about the life of Rabbi Leitchik, Zechrein Levracha. I'm reading, I'm more than halfway through. I had a couple of nights on the sketch last night. It's a must read. It's a must read. It's a chassid of our generation, who was like the chassid of earlier generations. I don't think there was somebody else who combined the Deir Ashvi elements as completely as he did, with the Pnimis Dike Avoida. Rabbi Ajik Dav Marichas every day. It was a Mamish Tzaddik Ayid. It's an incredible sefer. You'll feel so small when you read it.
What's his name?
Reichik. The name of the book is Shadar. Shadar. His abbreviation is Shmuel David Reichik. Shadar. And he was a Shadar. You should buy it. And I'm reading it. And I said to his children, when I meet them in the mikvah, I say, every chapter of this book, the way the book is, it's many parakim. Many chapters. The average size of a chapter is 4 or 5 pages. There's no long chapter. At the beginning, there's longer chapters. Every chapter has a few stories about another issue. You could make a whole book from that alone. In other words, there's so many things to tell about this person and what he did. They chose a few, and they go in topics. I have a chapter on Miftzat Film, a chapter on Taras HaMishpacha. He was very involved with the Taras HaMishpacha. And there's just a few pages with a few stories, and everything has quotes of people who were personally involved with him in these efforts. And you could literally make a book out of each chapter of how many times these things happened, and the stories, and the phanem, and so on and so forth. Yeah. But that every one of the Rebbe's Mitzvayim became his personal koch. This is a Yid who davened by, it's in the old-fashioned Chassidim. Rebbe Miftzat Tefillin, he ran around putting on Tefillin. And the stories they have, he was brought to the White House to meet the president. He asked every member of the president's staff if any of them were Jewish. And he found the Jewish guy, and he says, okay, Kim White Tefillin, this was his one, Kim White Tefillin. You didn't have to understand Yiddish to understand what it means, Kim White Tefillin. So the poor guy says to Rabbi Reichik, here? So he schleps them out of wherever they were, and he starts opening doors in the White House. He starts opening doors. He finds up, he schleps them in, he puts them on. There's actually a photograph of Rabbi Reichik putting on film in the White House with one of the president's aides. I don't know if that's necessarily easy, yeah. But the idea is, Yiddishkeit is mitzvahs. A mitzvah is not so hard to put on film. Kim White Tefillin. It's not so hard to put on film. You have to read this book. You would refuse it. He didn't ask you to put on film. He told you to put on film. And you would say, I'm not interested. He would say, we put on tefillin. He didn't say you didn't put on film. But he said it in Bazav Ados. You couldn't refuse him. It's just extraordinary. It's a special sefer. Any person who knew him a little bit knows that there's no guzma. But like the stories that are Baal Shem Tov, I'm advertising the sefer because I want to advertise the sefer. But one of the things that you see is his kochen miftzayim. And I said to my wife, he was a tzaddik, his wife was a double tzaddik. No one's going to write a book about her life, but he couldn't have been a quarter of what he was without her. He was never home. She raised the children alone. She fed all the Mishagayim. He brought them to the house in the middle of the night. She had to feed them and clothe them and look after them and give them beds. You can't appreciate how great these people were. Anyway, okay, let me see if I got back to the Tanya. Yeah, my point is, a mitzvah isn't hard. It's an act. It takes 5 minutes. Many mitzvahs take no time at all. And a mitzvah is a shtik eibishter. A mitzvah is God, not godliness, not godly life. In a mitzvah, you're holding atzmus amos. Hashem crunches his whole atzmus into a mitzvah. And the fact that it's simple and easy doesn't change the truth of it. A yid does a mitzvah, he's holding atzmus amos. So the Alter Rebbe asks a kasha. My question is, I'm 7 lines from the end of the Perek. Shatera nislapsha bidvorim tachtenim gashmi. Is it not true that the Torah has enclosed itself in lowly physical things? Now you have to say this twice. You have to say these words twice. The first is, when you learn Torah, you learn Chumash Bereishis, even if you learn Chumash Vayikra, Bamidbar, and Dvarim, and Shmeis, you're learning a Torah that tells stories about physical people in the physical world. You're learning Torah that's talking about physical mitzvahs. Yeah? Physical mitzvahs. A person steals from somebody else, a person hurts somebody else, a person kills somebody else. The Torah deals with what you're supposed to do with such a person. In other words, the Torah is not exalted, it's not esoteric, it's not lofty, it's the lowest level. It's dugri. You understand? The Torah doesn't speak to big chachamim on high madeigas of chachma. The Torah speaks to the people in the way that there's no doubt what the Torah means and feels and wants that you should do. So the Torah doesn't sound like a very sophisticated sefer. I've told this to you many times before that the Rambam writes that the Torah was designed to have the broadest appeal. The Torah was written to be understood by the most people. But in order for the Torah to have a broad appeal, the Torah has to not be too smart, because the smarter the book is, the narrower the pool of people can understand it. The Torah was dafka written in such a way that has an appeal to the hamoin. Hamoin in English means the masses. If you're smart, so you'll dig. You'll keep looking, you'll find. But the Torah on a superficial level is very simple. Paltiel's kasha is, you mean to tell me that in the mitzvahs and the Torah, the psukim and the chumash, and the halachas of the chachamim, which deal with liars and cheaters and bluffers and all this stuff, in every word of that there is the Eibishter? Absolutely. It's unbecoming. Shouldn't the Eibishter be in something loftier? So when you read these words, read it twice. Number one, even the Torah speaks about such down-to-earth things. This is God's wisdom, that you shouldn't steal and couldn't kill. The infinite God, it's all he has to say, that's it. Right? And the answer is, yep, that's right, all he has to say. There's no more wisdom, there's infinite wisdom. So how come it seems so simple to me? If you're smart, you'll find. But whatever the case is, this is the infinite wisdom of God. And of course, now let's say it one more time. Mitzvahs that are written in the Torah, yeah? They're not meditations, they're not spiritualities, they're not flying in the sky, they're simple rituals. Do this and don't do this. So in other words, we're still maintaining, as I told you earlier, that in Perek Dalet, for the most part, we're not separated from mitzvahs, it's a package. In every word of Torah, you have Hashem himself. In every mitzvah, you have Hashem himself. Not Hashem's light, not Ziv HaOra. The Eibishter himself is in each word of Torah. But it seems so simple. It seems so basic. This is the infinite wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Alter Rebbe, yep. And he explains. If you want to understand how you should relate to Torah, and you should relate to mitzvahs, even though it seems to you that the Torah is shortchanging you, so to speak, that the Torah is dealing with such trivialities, es passt nicht für Torah zu vernehmen sich mit solchen Sachen. That's what Hashem is busy with. So I'm going to give you an example. Yeah, if you embrace a king, if you hug a king, yeah, she'ein hefresh b'mailas hiskarvusa v'kusav melech. In as much as a hug is concerned, as much as an embrace is concerned, it makes very little difference. It makes no difference how close you are to the king. Bein mechabke kishehu lavush levush echad. If you embrace a king who's wearing only one outfit, so you push it physically closer to his body, bein shu lavush kamalush, as opposed to who's wearing many outfits, it makes no difference. When you embrace a king, you're not embracing his shirt or his jacket or his coat or whatever else, whatever layers he's wearing, me'achar, because Sheguf hamelech b'teicham. The body of the king is hidden inside. It's behind it. And when you're embracing the king, you're not embracing his shirt or his pants or his jacket or his coat. You're embracing him. And the Rebbe is true. The Eibishter mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are the Eibishter himself. The shirt, the beged, the lavush, through which you're holding Hashem, through which you're holding Atzmas and Hus, makes little difference. So you're right. Torah speaks about simple things. You know why Torah speaks about simple things? As much as we don't want to admit it, it's because we're simple people. And Torah was given to us. It wasn't given to a few chachamim. Torah was given to every Poshet Proster Mensch, and every Poshet Proster Yid. Lahadu. Knows what the Eibishter wants of him, and he's in a position to do it because the Eibishter speaks his language. Yeah, but the Eibishter is infinite. Okay, yeah, it's all true. But the levush, the vehicle that brings the Hashem to us is on our level, and it doesn't become less true because it's another garment. It doesn't become less true because it seems simple and easy to do. It's not the way it works. Eibishter made it easy and simple, but easy and simple does not mean simplistic. Doesn't mean it does not have depth. Hashem himself is inside. Okay, now I just want to say that you'll learn later on in Tanya, chapters 46 and 47, but hey, also 45, 46, 47, where the Alter Rebbe is going to discuss 3 levels of our relationship with the Eibishter. The lowest level is a hug, is an embrace, which we have here. The second level is a kiss, which is deeper. And the third level is called the Zdapkus Rucha Barucha, the joining of the spirit and the spirit. A hug is through the guf, right? I embrace you, right? A kiss is also through the guf, but it's much deeper. It's Zdapkus Rucha Barucha Zanim Pnimi. It's a spiritual idea. Yiddishkeit is divided up into 3 levels. Chibuk, Nishuk, is Zdapkus Rucha Barucha. Here the Alter brings only the first. When you do any mitzvah, when you learn any thought of Torah, if it's dealing with the most parochial, the most elemental, the lowest things, you are hugging the Eibishter himself. It doesn't really matter. And this is what the Rebbe taught us and teaches us in the Mivtzayim. The Rebbe made the whole Chassidus into Mivtzayim. Why? Because in a mitzvah you have atzvos and holos. And when you do a mitzvah for a fellow Jew, as the Rebbe says, you did for him the greatest favor, the greatest act of a Yahavta l'recha kamoicha. You can do with a fellow Jew if you do him a favor and do a mitzvah with him. Because you just gave him a connection to atzvos and holos. It's easy and it's simple, it takes 2 minutes, that's immaterial. The truth is, it's Machabek Isabelach. At that moment, he's embracing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like I told you, the Rebbe said in the Fabringen, it's in Perek Lamed, I think, yeah? When a Yid does a mitzvah, the bond that he creates, maybe it's Chafhei, I always mix it up, that a Yid makes between himself and the Eibishter is a fanebigkeit, the Rebbe says. It's for an eternity, it's an infinity, it's forever mamish. Okay? And then the Rebbe says v'chein, and of course the opposite is also true. The king hugs you back. Now, I was supposed to finish today's Perek. I was planning to start Perek again. Of Metzech Faret. I'm going to stop right here. V'chein and Mechabek es HaMelech. Okay? Now, part of the reason I'm doing this is because I learned in yeshiva. Believe it or not, I learned in yeshiva. And when I learned in yeshiva, I had malamdim. My malamdim taught me Tanya. And the way my malamdim would teach us the Tanya is that the last couple of lines of Perek Dalet is a segue to Perek Hey. It's a segue. It's a psiche. Because what's going to happen is, in the next Perek, we're going to continue the same conversation we had now. But the next Perek, the whole spirit of the next Perek is to separate Torah from mitzvahs. And to make the argument that Torah is deeper than mitzvahs. We're sitting on this a long time. And every week I remind you again that in this Perek, mitzvahs and Torah are used interchangeably. It's the same thing. This hugging the king and being hugged by the king is the same in Torah and mitzvahs. So we're going to leave this for next week, and we'll continue next week already with Perek Hey. We're going to start here, and we're going to go into Perek Hey, where you have this concept called makif and mukif. Hugging and being hugged. Okay, we're going to take a break for a minute, and then we're going to learn about Chassidus. I just want to announce for those who only come for Tanya, this Thursday is the 90th wedding anniversary of the Rebbe and the Rebbe. It's Tafshinai Tes. And there's a big koch by a Chassidim, by a Nash, to talk about the Rebbe's Chassan. Now, we learn on Fridays the Rebbe's Maimorim. And we just started this Friday, Tafshin Lamed Tes. For us, this is also a milestone, because it's Al-Boim Shana. This coming year, we're going to be learning the Maimorim from 40 years ago, Hashem's help. And we started with the Maimorim of Chassaneh. So on Friday, we learned one of the Maimorim of Chassaneh. Today, we're going to continue that. And I'm planning tomorrow and Tuesday to learn a Maimir. This will be our Achona for the Rebbe's 90th wedding anniversary is this Thursday. So the Rebbe said to Maimorim 40 years ago. So it was then the 50th anniversary, or the 40th anniversary, the 50th anniversary. So this is what we're going to be learning. So if I can get you to stick around, but we're going to be learning the Maimorim before they're both added the Mugadik and Maimorim. Okay, we're going to breathe a minute, then we'll do the Maimon. Thank you all for coming.